Hey, how's it going? So I wanted to hop on and just do a quick video because we're going through the year of the Bible, and we've been going through Genesis 1, 3, 11, and now we're going to head to 12. But I wanted to hop on because I promised that I would do some videos, and I'd do some videos, maybe filling in some details that we can't, cover on a Sunday. On a Sunday, we look at the broad picture and what does it mean for us on day-to-day life, kind of narrowing it down, taking the broad picture and narrowing it down to our daily living. But we pass over a lot of things that we can't discuss that may have leave you with questions. And so I know in Genesis chapter 3 we talked about the serpent and tempting, and I said that he we're not unaware of his schemes, and that we can deal with temptation and work through those things. And I said I'd be doing some videos showing you how Satan works, because he has no new ideas, in that he has the same scheme. And so today I want to answer some of those questions, but actually I'm not going to get into temptation today. I'm going to set the foundations, hopefully, that next video that we have, then we can dive into those temptation things. But I don't plan on making these videos long, but more shorter than a sermon to answer it. And so, now and then I get questions, and I feel like to do my due diligence, I want to be able to answer those questions. And so this is what I want to use this forum for. And so it's a little bit more comfortable setting, and we'll be time we do these, we'll put them on our church website so that we can answer your questions. And if you have any questions, you can always email me at joshbird76@gmail.com. I do my best to do a video and answer your questions. But I'm probably going to look at those who have the same kind of questions and kind of answer those. One of the questions that I have that really helps us set up to the world of the unseen world, right? Angels, demons, Satan, God, different things like that. So one of the questions comes from Genesis chapter 6. And in Genesis chapter 6, verses 1 and 4, it reads this: when human beings began to increase in numbers on the earth. Sorry, my screen's here. I got two screens here, so I'm kind of reading this one. A number on the earth, and daughters were born to them. It says the sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose, right? And in verse 4 it says the Nephilim, were on the earth in those days, and also afterwards when the sons of God, there it is, that phrase again, the sons of God, went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown. And so I want to talk about what is the sons of God. Exactly what is that? Okay, I'm going to skip over the Nephilim, but I do believe there's going to come a time we're going to talk about them. It's not going to be anytime soon, but it will come. But here it is, and this phrase, the sons of God, and what does that mean? Because there are different theories out there, and one of them is that they're the sons of God, or those who are in line with Seth's line. Seth was one of Adam and Eve's children, and that his children, the line of faithfulness, married just pagan daughters. That's one theory. There's the other theory that these are angels, and then some theories are out there about kings of Canaan and things like that. But I want to say that I want to just look at the Bible and let the Bible tell us what the sons of God are. Okay, and I'm going to make the claim that the sons of God isn't the line of Seth, because that doesn't make sense, but it is definitely, I believe, the angels. Okay, the angels are called the sons of God here. And so what you have is that angels are now intermarrying or marrying with the daughters of mankind. All right. And so you get this breed of giants, per se, Nephilims, which are giants. Now, I know I'm giving a brief overview of these things. We're going to look at a lot of scriptures, and I know you're going to have more questions, and that's fine because my idea here is to wet your whistle that sends you on a search to understand more. And if I can, do my best in answering some of your questions. But what are the sons of God? Like I said, I believe they're angels. Okay. And why do I think that? Because there are as many texts that associates the sons of God with angels. And here's just a few. So for instance, you got two there, but now we're going to look at Job. All right. And I'm going to use two different versions here kind of show you how the sons of God and angels are usually synonymous with each other, or phrases that we use to explain one and the other. So here in Job 1, use verse 6, using the ESV version, the English Standard Version, it says, "Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came amongst them." In context, it's talking about in the heavens, and this is council. This council's going on in the heavens with God and his council discussing the affairs of man. Satan in this situation isn't the Satan that we know of, right, as in noun. This is actually a title, and it really just means the accusatory one, the one who accuses. So this is not the Satan that we know of with the horns and everything else. This is a position, and what this person does, or this being does, it basically goes around claiming or showing God all our faults, if you want to put it that way. Put it simply, okay? I'm trying to take a complex thing and make it simple. They're just there to accuse mankind of all their wrongdoings. And it says that it's the sons of God. They all came, the angels, and the accuser comes, and they all come before God. But the NIV translates this as, "One day the angels came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them." So you can see the sons of God and angels are being, the phrase is being intertwined between the two. All right. Again, Job 2:1, we see the same scenario happening. Again, there was a day when the sons of God, this is the ESV version, right, came to present themselves before the Lord. So here's a second time it's coming. And of course, the accuser comes with them. And what does the NIV say? On another day, the angels came to present themselves before the Lord. So you see the sons of God in Genesis chapter 6. Most likely, I believe, are not most likely, but they are referencing angels. Okay, and I'll explain a little bit more why what they did was wrong as time goes on. Here's another one in Job 38, verse 4 and 7, right? And when Job is trying to question God, so now God is going to question Job. And Job goes, "Where were you?" God goes to Job and goes, "Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me if you have understanding. Who determined its measurements? Surely you know. Or who stretched a line upon it? On what were its bases sunk? Or who laid its cornerstones? And when the morning stars sang together," morning stars is a reference usually used a morning star is a reference used for angels. It's another idiom per se, or something that's kind of communicating to us. He's talking about the angels. He's like, so when the angels sang together, all the sons of God, there it is again, the angels, or as they're now being recognized as the sons of God, shouted with joy. This is why I don't think this could be possibly at all a human, because humans weren't there when the creation was happening. They were at the end of creation. So when God was laying the foundations of the earth and setting the stars in place and setting the waters in its proper land and making land and everything else, there was no humans, but the angels were there. And as God was laying out that foundation, the angels were celebrating with joy, right? And so here you got Job 38 calling them the sons of God. Again, if you look at the ESV, it says all the angels shout with joy. And so here you go. Once again, you're seeing the sons of God and angels are one and the same thing in this situation. Deuteronomy 32. We just got down with Genesis chapter 11. And in Genesis chapter 11, if you remember the Tower of Babel, God confused their language and he disperses the people, right? And he creates the nations. And when you read the content of nations in chapter 10 of Genesis, what you got is that God disperses the nations, and then he puts angels over them to help govern them. It's sort of like, okay, you want to rebel against me, you don't want to be under my authority, then I'm going to put you under the authority of lesser beings. And so what God does is he puts angels under the control of those nations. Okay? And this is what you're reading in chapter 32 in Deuteronomy. And when the Most High gave to nations their inheritance, right? When he divided mankind, he fixed the borders of the peoples according to the number of the sons of God. But the Lord portions his people, Jacob his allotted heritage. And so when he disperses and he creates the nations, he puts angels over them, okay, or sons of God. And then the next chapter, in chapter 12, he chooses Abram, or later Abraham, and through Abraham comes the nation of Israel, and Israel is the Lord's portion. So, okay, angels, you guys, you don't want to be under my authority, then I give you lesser beings to govern over you, and I will start with this. This will be my people here, okay? And so you have sort of this geographic authority given to these angels. And that's why when you read Daniel chapter 10, you see the Prince of Persia, right? So when Daniel's praying and the angel is trying to come and answer the prayer, he says, I was held back by the Prince of Persia, meaning the angel who's over Persia. Now, there was more than one rebellion that was happening in the heavens. You got Satan and his angels rebelling, and you got these governing angels. They also rebel. So, and that's for another time. But you can see that in the Psalms that God is very upset in the way these angels are governing unjustly the people that he put over their care. And so you see, once again, the Son of God is connected to angels, right? In fact, if you read Ephesians, book of Ephesians, 6 different times, it talks about authorities, right? The most famous one is in Ephesians chapter 6, right? Our struggle is not against the flesh and blood, but against the evil forces that are in the heavenly realm. And that's talking about these sons of God, all right? This is where the battle is. When you look at all the problems and everything else in this world, there is a deity, or not deity, but let's say an angel, a rebellious angel, a son of God, who is really pulling the strings when you read Ephesians chapter 6. That's causing all this conflict, all right? And of course, God will deal with them and has dealt with some of them already. So we're kind of just moving through because I'm just trying to make the connection between the Son of God and who they are, and they were angels. And it's important because when you start now getting into the New Testament, you see this reference from Peter and Jude, and even a little bit of Jesus, harping back. Well, Peter and Jude definitely are harping back to Genesis chapter 6. And Jesus makes reference of angels and marriage. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. I'm going to move quickly through this because I don't want to make this a long kind of lesson. But in 2 Peter 2, 4, 5, it says, For if God did not spare angels when they sinned, but cast them into hell and committed them to chains of gloomy darkness to be kept into judgment, if he did not spare the ancient world, okay, but preserved Noah, a herald of righteousness, with 7 others, when he brought a flood upon the world of the ungodly. And so you got this, God did not spare angels during the flood, right? During that time. That's Genesis chapter 6. Jude says the same thing. And the angels who did not stay within their own position of authority, right? They left their place, or their place of abode, left their proper dwelling, as it says. He has kept an eternal change under gloomy darkness until the judgment of great day. And so again, harping back to Genesis chapter 6 is what Peter and Jude are doing. Talking about that day, and God did not spare them, but he punished them for what they have done. And what did they do? They were not to be married at all. Not only that, he did not, it says this in Matthew 22, 30 and Luke 20, that they were never supposed to be married to
at all, right? So Jesus speaks about when the day when we go to heaven, no one will be in marriage or be given in marriage or will be married, but we will be like the angels, right? Who are not married, okay? So what they did is they rebelled and then they wind up being married and producing offspring to the human women. And that was obviously something they weren't supposed to do, and God disciplines them with that. So I say all that. You got this sons of God. You got this council. We got this world that we're not privileged to see, but we feel it in some sense. But we don't understand it. We don't see it per se. But in Genesis chapter 3, this leads me to the serpent, because the serpent was part of that rebellion, and the serpent comes and you go, what about the serpent? Where did he come from? How is he part of all this? And the Bible tells us what the serpent is. In fact, Ezekiel specifically speaks about this in Ezekiel chapter 34. It says this in chapter 34. Oh, excuse me, I said 34. I meant 28. 28, 14 through 17 says, you were anointed a guardian cherub. Speaking of the serpent, right? So in the ancient world, a cherub was seen as either a serpent or a dragon, okay? And so you get this imagery of something that was rebelling, something that's deviant. But you got this imagery because what is the purpose of a serpent? What was the purpose of a garden cherub or a dragon? Was to guard the throne of God. So you were anointed guardian cherub. So that tells us that the devil, Satan, as a cherub, his role was to guard the throne of God. And so that was his original role. And so therefore, he's there guarding it. And so what's that do? That gives him privity. The closer you are to God, the greater your knowledge and understanding of things are, right? So that makes sense that Satan has great power because he had to guard the throne of God. So he had great power and great knowledge. And he now uses that against us. And he's not really trying to get us. He's trying to hurt God. And the way he hurts God is by hurting us. Just like you and I, if you have a child, you understand, you can say all you want to me, you can do all you want to me, but if you harm my child, that really strikes a dagger in the heart, right? And so he says, you were anointed guarded cherub, I placed you, you are on the holy mountain of God. In the midst of the stones of fire you walked. You were blameless in your ways from the day you were created. See, Satan is a created being. Till unrighteousness was found in you. In the abundance of your trade, you were filled with violence in your midst, and you sinned. So I cast you as a profane thing from the mountain of God. So there he is. He's in the mountain of God, at the throne of God. And I destroyed you, O guardian cherub, from the midst of the stone's fire. Your heart was proud because of your beauty. You corrupt your wisdom for the sake of your splendor. I cast you to the ground. I expose you before kings to feast their eyes on you. Isaiah 14, 12, 15. How you have fallen from heaven, morning star. Remember, we talked about morning stars were heavenly beings. Son of the dawn. You have been cast down to the earth. You who once laid low the nations. You said in your heart, I will ascend to heavens. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. Meaning the angels, right? I'll sit enthroned on the Mount of Assembly, on the utmost heights of Mount Zaphon. I will ascend above the tops of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. But you are brought down to the realm of the dead, to the depths of the pits. Satan has great power because he was created with great power. He was created with great power because of the position he held in the heavenly realms, up there with God in close proximity. Probably closer than any other being that was created. And there he was, and that means he gained incredible knowledge. And now his great power and knowledge he uses to get back at God and to hurt us. But there's hope, and that's what we'll begin to talk about next time. Because it says in 2 Corinthians 2, 10 and 11, anyone you forgive, in the context is talking about forgiveness, but listen what it talks about Satan here. Anyone you forgive, I also forgive.
And what I have forgiven, if there was anything to forgive, I have forgiven in the sight of Christ for your sake. In order that Satan might not outwit us. For we are not unaware of his schemes. Satan is scheming. He's always scheming. But the thing is that he says that we are aware of what those schemes are. That means he's predictable. And Satan will do the same thing that brought him out of heaven, that caused him to be cast out of heaven and to fall. That's what he uses to get us. And so we will begin talking about what that looks like in our next video. Until then, take care, and I hope that this was enlightening and helpful.